Hello everyone, we're in the canyons of Malibu, California. It's a beautiful day and Mazda has given me the keys to a brand new 2018 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring all-wheel drive. We're gonna hit the road and see what this SUV is all about. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, we are inside the 2018 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring. And we are driving through the mountain roads of Malibu. And you wouldn't normally expect an SUV to be doing this sort of thing, or for someone to take their SUV up here. But this thing's actually a pretty good sport about it. Under the hood of the CX-5 is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder engine. It's the Sky Active motor. And it feels pretty torquey when compared to the 6-speed automatic transmission. It has no problem pulling this thing up the hills, which are, I assure you, pretty steep up here. And that's a pretty impressive thing for a naturally aspirated, relatively small inline 4-cylinder to be able to pull this family SUV around with no problem, especially through these hilly terrain. It's more than enough for the daily commute, that's for sure. But obviously, a sports car, this is not. This is a fully loaded Grand Touring model, ringing in right around $34,000. And it's a pretty nice place to be. If you look behind me, look around me, two-tone leather interior, a lot of nice padded leather and nice padded rubber materials. The whole interior is a pretty nice place to be in general. Interestingly, for an SUV, is that this car has a sport mode. It's a little toggle right down here. We flip it over into sport. And right away, the throttle response, the engine calibration, and the transmission programming get much sharper. So again, this isn't exactly a sports car, but it does a pretty good impersonation, if I say so myself. So if you look on the outside of this Mazda CX-5, it is adorned in a gorgeous shade of soul red metallic, much like the Mazda Miata. And the Miata influence doesn't stop there. There's something I really like about this car. There's a sort of sporting pedigree to it. If you look inside, some of the instrumentation is almost Miata-like. And it's that sort of family DNA, that sort of funness to it. It's sort of an inherent Mazda characteristic that the CX-5 does a good job of showing off. So with 186 horsepower on tap from the 2.5 liter engine, the CX-5 has plenty of pickup in the day-to-day drive. But it's more than that, because you're not really doing stoplight drag racing with this thing, unless you're a crazy person. But in the real world, this thing is rated at 24 mpg city, 30 mpg freeway with a 26 miles per gallon combined rating, which is pretty impressive for a family SUV. Yeah. Good strong pickup, very nice linear power delivery, very smooth. I will say this is an interesting fun fact. The automatic transmission in this Mazda SUV is actually more sporty than some sports car automatic transmissions I've driven as of late. I'm not going to incriminate who I'm talking about, but I think they may know. So we've hit the open road in the CX-5. We're going about 60 miles an hour. We're just cruising. And it's a very comfortable place to be. The suspension is very well damped, and the shock technology in particular feels very premium. And I can tell that not only from the seat of my pants, but because I'm watching the camera right now and it's not shaking very much, which sounds silly, but in a lot of cars, when I hop in them, if I mount the camera in the car, you can see the camera always shaking around, moving a lot as the car flexes and suspension's kind of jittery and rough, doesn't know how to handle the broken pavement that Southern California is so famous for. But in the CX-5, not only is it a very smooth ride, it's also very, very quiet. There's very little in the way of tire noise, there's very little in the way of wind noise, and the actual cabin insulation is very, very nice. This definitely feels a step above what you consider the traditional competition for this car. You can tell that when Mazda was designing a car like this, that it was targeting a more premium segment. This definitely feels more in line with a BMW or an Audi than it does, say, a Honda or a Toyota. Now you may have noticed I just pointed behind the camera and I'm looking at the navigation system. I will cut to a video of this, but this is very interesting. Mazda has not said anything about this. This is a little Easter egg about the car, but the navigation when you go through a tunnel changes the display to an actual display of you driving through a tunnel, which is very, very cool. So let's cut to the footage of that right now. That is so cool. So as you can see, I've managed to drag myself away from the canyon roads, and I actually brought the CX-5 out to the real world. Specifically, I'm taking part in a 120-mile test loop to really see how this thing works in the real world. I'm on the 405 South, and I'm gone all the way down to South Orange County. So that's a straight freeway slog, average speeds between 50 to 75, and obviously a lot of traffic along the way. To that end, the Mazda CX-5 has averaged about 35 miles per gallon on the freeway, which is a really impressive performance. Now, we're going to cut out towards the ocean and take the Pacific Coast Highway all the way back up. Now that's a blend of 30 to 60 mile an hour roads with stop signs everywhere. It's more of a around town driving experience. So I believe I'm right in saying that in this class, the compact SUV segment, I believe Mazda is the only company to offer a heads-up display in the CX-5. And if you can look at it right now, it's so much more than just giving you how fast you're going. It tells you the local road conditions, so it's telling me the speed limit here. It also tells you about upcoming stop signs and things like that. It's also your heads-up display for the adaptive cruise control. You can see I currently have it set to 67 miles an hour. Once we get going, I can push the button and it will accelerate and brake as necessary for me. You also see that there are indicators on the left and the right side. Currently the left one is illuminated. That means someone is in my left blind spot. This car uses blind spot monitoring, and it has little lights in either side, the left and right mirrors, to let you know when someone's in your blind spot. It's also on the heads-up display, which is a very nice thing. It lets you know, without even having to look away from the road, that someone's in your blind spot. And you can see that the adaptive cruise control has illuminated orange when someone cuts in front of you to let you know that someone's closing in on you. That's a really smart piece of technology. It keeps your eyes planted on the road where they should be instead of looking in your mirrors and looking to your left and looking to your right all the time. So I found a shortcoming in the Mazda CX-5 and the sport mode button. If you have the car in drive but you have sport mode engaged, sometimes it seems like the transmission gets confused and doesn't know when to change gear. So if you listen behind me, then just making a lot of racket, that's because the transmission is not shifting up for some reason. It kind of was just driving around town at 4,000 RPM and not changing up. So I'm not sure if that's like a transmission bug or a glitch, but it's happened a couple of times where I kind of just catch this thing out. I'll see if I'll do it again, see? Okay, it shifted there, and now it's just kind of just staying here indefinitely. It's just staying at 3,000 RPM. Interestingly, the more I drove the Mazda CX-5, the more I liked it. The interior proved to be a deeply comfortable place to spend time. And after picking up 3 friends and loading them in the car, they all agreed. Additionally, this extra drive time made me truly realize how premium the CX-5 experience is, regardless of price point. That this loaded CX-5 Grand Touring all-wheel drive costs just $34,685 is frankly amazing. In fact, other than the premium package, which adds heated rear seats, the heated steering wheel, and a more advanced version of the head-up display with traffic recognition for $1,395, I'm amazed at the level of standard content the CX-5 is packing. This thing punches way above its weight, and honestly should give brands like Acura, Lexus, and Infiniti room for pause. It's that good. The real-world fuel economy is stellar, and the driving experience is excellent. This is the best compact SUV on sale today. Go get one.